Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, good evening, depending on your time zone. My name is Neil Hills-Johns. My role here within sa.global is Director of APAC, and I've been working with ERP solutions for many, many years, and worked with many different businesses that have deployed different ERP solutions. And so I guess I have a fair amount of experience in looking at businesses and their use of ERP solutions. We're going to run through a presentation today talking about symptoms that we see in businesses that may be indicating that you've outgrown your current ERP solution or NAV solution if you're using Dynamics NAV. As we go through the presentation, feel free to ask questions. We're leaving time at the end of the session to go through those questions in detail, but you'll notice under the Teams environment you have the opportunity to ask questions and key questions in as we go through the presentation. So feel free to ask those questions. We will of course give you contact details at the end of the session if you want to follow up or ask some more specific questions at that time. So without further ado, let me start the presentation. As we go through life, our business changes in complexity, government regulations become more stringent, and our competitors change, and our clients are looking for changes and are looking for more sophisticated options and faster response and better service. Recent surveys have shown that more than 90% of consumers said that they would consider taking their business elsewhere rather than deal with a company that uses outdated technology. So how do we know if we've got outdated technology? I think some of the symptoms that we see is that organizations have multiple areas where they have to go and source information in order to address specific requirements of customers or to address business issues internally. And so some of these symptoms might be that you have to go to multiple sources, you have to get information that's not within your ERP solution, or you have to go to different people. In some cases, we find that there are multiple versions of the truth, that people are working with information. They don't rely on the information that's within their ERP solution, and so they're running Excel spreadsheets and comparing that information with the ERP because they don't trust the information. Other things we see is that the information is in the system, but it's just too hard to get the information out in a timely manner to meet the requirements to make a decision or to pass that information on to client suppliers or within the organization. So there's nothing worse than having lots of data but not have the information you need. Well, that's part of the issue that we find is that initially businesses or business ERP solutions restricted the amount of information that was retained. Source documents are not retained within the system, for example, or the systems were less sophisticated and didn't encompass a wider range of information to be held within the system. We're also seeing nowadays that with internet usage, people are ordering through more and more through the internet, and so having information out on the internet which isn't necessarily part of the ERP, and that's an indication of a potential to improve the business by looking at integrating all that information. Another telltale sign that we see is that people have lots of to-dos, and if you find that you're writing yourself notes to remind people to follow up actions, or We have to check up on staff to see that they've taken various tasks around the day. That's an indication that the business should be looking at adopting workflow. Because the workflow techniques that are available these days enable you to check results upon a particular trigger. For example, maybe today's date is past a shipment due date, and then that can check up. That can be used as a trigger to make sure that all shipments have been received, and then send emails to the appropriate people in the organisation who have to take action around that. The great thing about using workflow is that machines don't go on holiday, they don't go ill, so your ERP system will undertake that task, and you won't have to follow up on that. So we find that workflow is a great way of helping you keep on top of your processes and ensuring that you're meeting your compliance requirements. Microsoft Dynamics BC comes with 20 supplied workflows around the regular processes that you would expect within a distribution organization and the finance areas. In addition to that, you can also tailor these workflows to your specific requirement and or create your own workflows for specific processes that are relevant to your business. One of the other things that we sometimes see is that information is handled multiple times. That could be that you've got a sales force out in the road that are taking orders, and then they're telephoning in those orders and having them keyed in. Or clients could send in email orders, which you then have somebody in the back office rekeying. Or it could be that you have a website where customers place orders, but that isn't connected back into your ERP, so the orders aren't transferred and they have to be rekeyed at the back office. Other symptoms could be that you have a purchase order or you get an order from a client that you need to convert into a purchase order. All these are areas where you can find that information may be handled on multiple times. Clearly, if you can avoid this, not only are you streamlining the operations, but you're actually avoiding the opportunity for an error to occur. So we find that processing information once is preferable in terms of businesses. In addition, we now find that with the very close integration of Outlook, we can process orders, quotes, and submit invoices without leaving Outlook. This clearly has an advantage for organisations, and in these days of working from home with the COVID pandemic that's come through, there's the advantage that if your sales team have access to Outlook, then they automatically can have access and process orders through into the ERP. The next area that I just wanted to touch on is where some technology is heading. You've probably heard of artificial intelligence, and that sounds frightening, but it can also be a benefit to your existing business. With all these new technologies that evolve, it's probably understanding how you can apply that technology to your business in a practical and sensible way. So if I take the example of a cash flow forecasting, which most businesses do on a regular basis. Historically, the only way of predicting when a client was going to pay their invoices was looking at their payment terms and assuming that they would pay the invoice within the terms that were given to that client. Maybe it was 14 days or 30 days terms. But nowadays, ERP solutions go back and look at the client's past payment history, and based on their payment history, then predict what their payment terms will be. So it's much closer, more closely tied to what is actually happening, and using machine intelligence to help you work out when your clients will pay their bills into the future. So this is a high level of degree of sophistication that's built into the ERP solutions these days, and you don't have to do anything about it. It comes standard in the product. Other applications we're finding of machine learning is to help in future stock for reforecasting and purchasing. So using the historical demand to extrapolate what stock you will need to have in place into the future, and again handled, these complex algorithms are handled by the system without you having to do anything. So as we say, and here we're showing the example of a role which in the system is provided, and the system comes with 25 distinct organizational roles, like financial controller, like order processing, and in this case purchasing, where the system will provide to the individual their to-do list, the information that they need to have in order to perform their task. Tied to this would be their workflows that they need to approve and actions that they need to follow up. So in one place, that person is seeing everything that they need to do on a timely basis. The next area that we've seen enormous changes in is in mobility. We all have staff that are based in the office and that are mobile, and in the past we've had issues, well, the limitation to getting those people to access the systems was devices that would enable you to do that, and also communications. And then you're looking at the type of things that happen in such a business. While not every person in the organization may have access to the ERP solution that you're using or your systems that you're using, it's pretty certain that everybody in the organization has a mobile phone. Well, if we have a mobile phone, then why don't we use it to access the ERP solution? Nowadays, you can have your choice of device that you want to have access to the system, including mobile phones, and also including Windows, iOS, and Android. So no matter the tool that you have, you can have access to the system. And a little bit later on, we'll also take you through and show you how you can use your phone for more than just accessing the ERP solution. Some of the other things that we see is access to information. Now, invariably, as business looks at performance of their customers, it's not necessarily, if I take the example of invoice payments, Somebody may always pay in 45 days. That doesn't mean to say that they're late, it's just their normal payment cycle. However, if the 45-day payer suddenly slips out to 60 or 90 days, you have an issue. So sometimes just looking at their days outstanding isn't a true measure of whether that client is at risk or not. Couple this with perhaps an organisation placing a larger than normal order and their days outstanding is slipping, could highlight that there's a potential issue with an organisation that you want to draw attention to and to have a focus on. I raise this because this is typically the type of reports that aren't available out of the box with ERP solutions. So therefore, ideally what you need to do is have a flexible reporting tool that lets you build in and look at these type of situations. For example, you may have an abnormal run on a particular item of stock. So tracking that or looking at fast moving items and extrapolating out their sales based on last week's information or the last 4 days information can be invaluable in terms of you helping identify the need to get more stock in and therefore not to result in lost sales because you're running out of stock. Again, these are the type of things that you need as managers in your business to be able to zero in and have a look at. And no system is going to come with every permutation of report available. Hence, you need to have an integrated tool in your business that lets you drill into your business and is simple to use. As I mentioned before, Dynamics BC comes with a number of roles which provide graphical representation of information and also key information that's pertinent to that role. Drilling down on this information lets you go down and find out the information behind it, but also these dashboards are configurable. So you can change that to focus in on the information that's relevant to you and is relevant to your business. The next area I'd like to talk about is the Internet of Things, or IoT for short. And for those of you that aren't aware of what the Internet of Things can do, it's the ability of machines to be able to send out messages or alarms or triggers and electronically communicate back. So I've used the example here that machines in the field can actually send out trigger messages. And for example, if we have clients who use this, where devices, if they reach a certain temperature, that will send a trigger to the service center saying, I potentially have a problem with this piece of equipment. And because they are workflow driven, then that can automatically be scheduled in to the service technicians and routed to a service technician who happens to be in the area, who can then call in and visit on that equipment. So if you think of what that's doing, that's replacing, or it's actually one, providing early warning that there's a potential problem. Secondly, what it's doing, it's allocating and finding the resource that is required to address it. And thirdly, it's trying to find the closest person to that site of that can then drop in and perform some preventative maintenance. It's just one example. We're now seeing that devices, more and more manufacturers are building in the opportunity for these devices to talk, and that enables us to then use that technology to help drive automatic responses and actions to assist in ensuring the upkeep of equipment, or making sure that the business is capable of responding to clients' needs in a proactive way rather than in a reactive way. Far better to be doing that than waiting to hear that the machine has a fault and then need a service technician to go out. And because it's machine working with machine, we're actually bypassing any human intervention that's required, and so there's nothing to stop this operating on a 24/7, 365 days a year operation. So that's just one example of how IoT can be used. The important thing is that when you're looking at your systems need to be able to interact with IoT and be able to receive that information. Certainly under Dynamics, Microsoft Dynamics PC, we're able to accommodate that type of functionality. Another area that has changed in our lifetime is the introduction of bots. What is a bot, you may ask? Well, a bot's an application that performs an automated task, such as setting an alarm, telling you the weather, or searching online is one description. But I think we've all experienced them when we go online. If we go onto an online site, we'll often see a little question come up and say, "Can I help you?" Well, the type of things that bots can do is help you go through the process of placing an order, answering your questions associated with that, even giving you pricing information, and completing an order without, again, without the intervention of a human. So it's, but in order to perform some of those tasks, the bot needs to be able to talk to your ERP solution. So as you move forward and you look at the application and how that can help you in your business and help you with your customer traffic as they come online to your website, and how can they then, you provide the information they need to help them fulfill an order, then you need your application to be talking to bots. And so it's important to understand that can be achieved, and your ERP can talk with bots, and certainly Microsoft Dynamics PC can. We often hear people saying, on some of the reasons that their systems have multiple islands of information, is that the ERP doesn't address all aspects of the business. Certainly Dynamics BC has a development environment, as did its predecessors with Microsoft Dynamics NAV. But now it's even easier. What I'm going to do is, and the solution that Microsoft has developed is called Power Apps, and it's a very simple, straightforward series of tools that enable our clients to extend their ERP application and address those areas of the business that are unique to them. What I'm going to do is just show you a small video about an organization called Kelly Roofing and how they've applied the use of Power Apps to meet some of their business requirements. I think it's self-explanatory.
When people think about roofing or a roofer, they don't necessarily think about technology. But technology, specifically Dynamics 365, has really allowed us to grow and outpace our competition. What we learned in the roofing business is we need the ability to scale very quickly, and our old software system just didn't allow for that. So we knew that we needed another platform that we could customize and scale through automation as we needed. Everyone in the organization uses Dynamics 365. It is the backbone of Kelly Roofing. One of the biggest issues that we were having was how to get the photos from the field into our system. That's where Power Apps came in.
We would go out and we would take pictures of the job, and they never just ended up right in the folder like they were supposed to.
When the crew sent me the pictures, I had to spend some extra time in my home, 5 to 10 o'clock, to looking for pictures.
This is our Power App. Originally, it started as a way to take photos from the field and put them into the document library attached to the job record in Dynamics 365. But after a few innovative ideas from the Power Objects team, it turned into something so much more. First thing it does is it provides a list of all of the jobs that that crew is supposed to have on their schedule for that time frame.
When I'm ready for work in the morning, all I have to do is open my app. It's got all the information I need for all my jobs for the day. It's got the phone number, it's got directions. It tells me what's been done and what also needs to be done.
From a cost-saving standpoint, we actually received a 25.8% reduction in trip time. The next thing that it does is it allows the crews and the supervisors to do a daily job site report for the customer. Each job has 5 questions that they answer daily. Now, instead of entering all of that directly into Dynamics 365, they just do it in the Power App. And because the Power App has simple toggles, yes, no, for instance, it makes it so much faster.
It allows me to upload to Dynamics to let the customer know if we visited the job, if I was able to get my crew to working, or if I have any updates as well. I'm able to send in real time when I'm there, what we're able to do, and what got done throughout the day.
A 36% drop in callbacks. And why? Because we were sending the right crew with the right qualifications to the right job. The best feature is the ability to upload any documentation that we need. By one click, our crew in the field, the people who need the information the most, have access to it instantly, anywhere.
Our customers love this app because it helps keep them in loop. Through automated emails and workflows, we're able to communicate with the customer with just a click of the button.
Now that we've built one, we want to build so many more. But with my relationship with Power Objects, they've made it really easy. We just gave them the idea, we talked through it. Next thing you know, we were using it. We wanted it in Dynamics 365, so why go with somebody else? What's important to me is having a relationship to the point where we can't tell where Kelly Roofing stops and Power Objects begins.
So that gives you a very brief introduction into Power Apps, but hopefully from that you can see the power of the tool to be able to help the business extend its processes and its functions. And I think, as I mentioned earlier, having access to a phone now enables members of the organizations to gather information on behalf of the organization, and it streamlined the processes and ensure that you're improving your service delivery to your clients and making it easier for clients to do business with you rather than with your suppliers. So all these things are available within the Dynamics BC application, and also available in the cloud or available on premise. So you have the option. In addition to some of the things that we've looked at today, obviously the functionality of the application has grown over the years, and so it's not just the changes in technology, but the individual functions have grown. But I think some of the technology areas are the opportunities that businesses should be looking at. You probably all know that it's a fully integrated application and addresses each areas through service management, finance, project, operation, supply chain, and reporting. But here are some areas from a survey that was conducted by Nucleus Research in terms of issues that businesses were facing, and some of these were triggers for organizations to go out and look at their existing systems and see if they were keeping pace with their competitors or if they needed to make some changes. Interestingly enough, if you look on the right of the screen, we're looking at reasons that businesses adopted new solutions. And as you look down through those, a lot more were focused around integration of data and processes in terms of and looking to streamline the business internally. So what we see obviously is that now we're just looking, we don't want our internal business processes to be the bottleneck for growth or making it difficult for clients to deal with us. And so I thought that was interesting in terms of seeing why businesses are looking to change or upgrade their internal systems to take advantage of these new technologies. So that's where we get to the end of the formal part of the presentation, and now we're happy to answer any specific questions that were thrown out, and perhaps I can ask Joe if there's any specific questions that we've received that you'd like to address.
Yes, Neil, thank you very much for the presentation. It is very interesting and giving us idea on how we will improve our business and our operation in our organization. We are open for questions for if anyone has some queries in mind, and we will be happy to address that during the time that is still available.
So Joe, if we don't have any questions from attendees, maybe I'll just point out that feel free to send any questions that you may have in, and contact either Chris J at sa.global.com, or to Philip, who's kphilip@sa.global.com, or even just send in a request to info@sa.global.com. And obviously we'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have. Equally, obviously be happy to share this presentation with you, or look specifically at your business requirements that you may have. So if there are no questions, then I'd like to thank you for attending, and look forward to talking to you into the future.
Okay, maybe we have one question we need to address here. How do we justify the increase in cost for D365 FNO versus D365 Business Central solution? Maybe the straightforward question is, what is the price comparison between these two products?
So yeah, look, that's a good question, and one that is not there's not a clear answer to, and it depends on each business's requirements. So the Dynamics 365 F&O solution is a larger, more sophisticated solution. It is capable of handling larger volumes, more diverse requirements, and is suited to larger organizations. Now, having said that, if the additional functional requirements or the volumes are not there, then there is absolutely no point in looking at Dynamics 365 F&O over BC, Dynamics BC, because from a functionality perspective, there's a large overlap around that. And when we talk to clients and prospects, we certainly look at both options and make sure that what we're doing is providing the correct solution to address the needs of the organization. A couple of things that we look at is that if an organization is operating across multiple regions, then sometimes Dynamics 365 F&O is a better solution, because within the one instance it can manage multiple different geographies and different taxation requirements and legislative requirements within a single instance. But that's not necessarily a hard and fast rule, because we have clients that use Dynamics 365 BC or Dynamics NAV across multiple different geographies, but they tend to run one instance per country. So that's one example. Certainly, as I say, Dynamics 365 F&O has more function, which means that it's sometimes it takes more time to set up, because there's more configurable options, and with more functionality there's more training. So it is a bigger solution, and in some cases Dynamics BC appears to be more straightforward, more simplistic, and easier to meet a business's requirements. So I'm afraid it's a difficult thing for us to answer generically, and it really comes down to looking at what the business needs and making sure that the solution being provided is the right solution for the business.
Right, thank you very much, Neil, for the explanation. The key points is that F&O is much more for enterprise application and implementation, where BC is more on a smaller scale, so that the cost will be relevant to that implementation later on. We have very interesting questions just come in. I will just read it straightforward. It is very hard to find Indonesia good partner who knows correctly ERP implementation. It challenge. We implement already BC but need further development. How Microsoft can help us to find a good partner plus advanced level implementation? That's the question.
I think that's again, it's not a unique question that we've seen, mm-hmm. and unfortunately, it does happen. But I think that's where the best way to address that is to look at the referenceability of the organization that you're dealing with. So has the organization got the track record and experience to be able to deliver these applications? And I would strongly encourage any organization to check references, to look to clients and understand the history behind them. Of course, we'd be very happy to say at SA Global, we believe we have that track record. That can be, you can feel comfortable that SA Global as an organization is one of only 9 accredited development organizations for Microsoft. So we actually do work for Microsoft for their applications. In addition to that, we have won 11 awards from Microsoft over the years, which again is a testimony to our ongoing relationship with Microsoft and our proven credibility in terms of having over the years delivered good results for clients. So we would be very happy to follow that up and talk to you specifically about your issues with your BC deployment, and would be happy to see if we could help you review what has actually happened and help you get the best out of your deployment and ensure that you get a successful outcome.
Yes, thank you very much, Neil, for the answer. The key point is every ERP implementation is, of course, there is a challenge in it, and it is a routine practice for us. And we will be very happy to get back to you to know what is your pain and what is the situation right now, and we can discuss further about this. We have 2 more questions, and this is the interesting one also. The question is, we are in the last step to select SAP. It looks BC is sophisticated. How can I influence my IT to select BC? What are the key points of SAP HANA?
Yeah, look, again, I think there are horses for courses. In some cases, and I would love to say that Dynamics BC is the panacea and the answer to everybody's issues, but the reality is that when you look at certain products in the marketplace, you have an option, and in some cases the solution will there may be multiple solutions that meet your specific business requirements. What I would suggest in terms of looking at BC is looking at, as I went through in this presentation today, is looking at what the business current requirements are and future needs are, in particularly around the technologies. So the fact that Microsoft is driving its product set through to not only address the specific ERP requirements, but the integration with Office 365, integration with Teams. So working from home is very straightforward in terms of that you access through collaborative tools such as Teams, and that's fully integrated with the Dynamics BC. Office is fully integrated with Dynamics BC, so uploading, downloading information between Excel and Word is a matter of course. So and then all running under Azure in a platform with the ability to adopt Power Apps and other such tools to help extend your processes to make sure that you're using the latest technologies and the latest tools to address not just today's requirements, but also those requirements that the business will have into the future. Again, be very happy to just understand a little bit more about your business and see if there's some specific areas that we can point to where we believe that Dynamics BC will work better for your business than SAP HANA.
Okay, thank you very much, Neil. So for Bapak Irwan, maybe the key points is that you will need to look further about the SAP ecosystem, but in Microsoft ecosystem, you know that normally people are using MS Office for productivity, and people communicating using Skype or Teams, right? We are using now, and we have that all type of investment that is usable and reusable inside organization when the ERP is also from Microsoft platform, which is Business Central. And we will be happy to discuss further about this. And Neil, we have one last question. This is about the cloud option. What are the cloud options that SA Global is offering?
Yes, so the Dynamics BC comes comes available as either as an on-premise solution, as I mentioned, or a cloud solution.
Right.
And that cloud solution can be a public cloud or a private cloud. Under a public cloud, it's provided by Microsoft under an Azure environment and fully supported by Microsoft, who have multiple centers around the region and around the globe. I'm not sure if that addresses the question specifically, or if there was some other underlying questions in that, Joe.
Yeah. The conclusion is that because we are partnering with Microsoft, so we are in full support of Microsoft Azure as a cloud platform. But in deploying solutions or a product ecosystem from Microsoft like Dynamics 365, Business Central, FNO, or CE, customer engagement, it is not always requiring to buy a separate Azure, because we have what is called software as a service, which is called SaaS. So we just subscribe for the software and Microsoft will do the rest. We as a partner will help you and will do the implementation and deployment of mapping out the business process and the solution. Okay, Neil, that is the last question that we have from our attendees this time.
Well, so again, if I could thank you for your time, and hopefully that there's some you got benefit from the presentation today. We would welcome your feedback, because time is always precious, and so we do want these sessions to be informative and hopefully helping you as organizations in understanding the evolving ERP solutions and how they can help you in your business and improve productivity and for your organization for now and into the future. As I mentioned there, if you would like any additional information, feel free to contact Chris, Philip, or send some information directly to info@sa.global.com. And again, and if you would like a copy of the presentation, please feel free to send us a request for that. Other than that, thank you very much for your time today, and I hope you have a great week and year, and that business booms despite the current COVID situation. So again, thank you very much for your attendance today. Bye.
Yeah, thank you very much, everyone. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we will be in touch with you very soon.